Joining us now, former CIA analyst Fred Fleitz. Fred, you and I have talked about this before, but it looks like they're moving forward to release this. Who are the main authors of this, quote, Senate report?
JD, it's good to be here. This report really is an outrage. It's an affront to nonpartisan, non-political oversight of intelligence. This report was written entirely by the Democratic staff. The Democratic members of this committee are trying to force it out the door before the Democrats lose control of the Senate. It was written entirely on a document review. No one was interviewed. And it goes against what we know happened with the enhanced interrogation. This was not torture. We know members of this committee, including Senator Rockefeller and Senator Feinstein, who are now condemning this program, we know they were briefed on this program while it was being conducted. They only turned against it because they found political advantage in 2005 when they wanted to try to take back control of Congress.
Well, speaking of politics, former Democrat Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts, now the Secretary of State, has raised concerns over the timing of this report's release. Why isn't Chairman Dianne Feinstein, who you just mentioned there, why isn't she listening to what John Kerry has to say?
Well, you know, I have to give Kerry and the Obama administration credit. Even though I think they've been encouraging this report for a long time, they recently realized that when it's released, even though it doesn't really say anything new, everyone knows the Democrats don't like this program and our adversaries abroad didn't like this program. When it's released, it could result in violence against U.S. citizens and embassies and troops abroad. And that's why Secretary Kerry said, you know, maybe this should be delayed. But Feinstein's pushing it forward anyway because she knows that if she doesn't, it will never see the light of day once the Republicans take control of the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Fred, we've got about 3 minutes left. What do you perceive to be the dangers in this report going public?
I think we're going to reveal the names of nations who are partnering with us on the enhanced interrogation program. Why we need to release that, I don't know. That has nothing to do with the U.S. Constitution or U.S. civil liberties. I think it's going to inflame the situation in certain countries in the Middle East against the United States. And I mean, there could be some terrorist attacks resulting from the release of this report.
And of course, there have been nations where I guess we called it rendition, where these different enemy combatants were taken for this enhanced interrogation. We saw some footage, I believe, from Poland, one of those nations there. So we have our embassies on alert. Our foreign governments who have been friendly to us, are they in turn, are they well advised to go on alert as well?
They're going to go on alert, JD, but another issue is when reports like this are released, when confidences are being violated here, when we need another nation to put their neck on the line to help us in a sensitive intelligence mission in the future, this will discourage them from doing so. And I think that's a very good reason why this report should not be released.
Next hour, we'll talk to General Michael Hayden about this very same subject. I want to switch gears now, though, and talk about the release of 6 prisoners from Gitmo who are now in Uruguay. They'd been detained. There were concerns. Your take on this release, and are they going to be able to make their way from Uruguay back to the Middle East?
Well, the worst of the al-Qaeda prisoners are remaining at Guantanamo. The Obama administration is desperate to reduce the number of prisoners so they can somehow close the prison. There'll be 169 left after these 6 leave. These 6 are being released to Uruguay because President Mujica of Uruguay doesn't agree with Guantanamo. He agreed to take them on. There was an agreement that they would have to remain in Uruguay for 2 years. The president immediately said after they arrived, he's not going to honor that. So these guys could return to the fight. We know that Guantanamo prisoners have a 29% recidivism rate returning to the fight. And of these prisoners, 4 are Syrians, 1 is a Tunisian, 1 is a Palestinian. There's a reason these guys were not released until now, and I think it's very troublesome that this is finally happening. I might add that Secretary of Defense Hagel has been reluctant to release these guys, and I think pressure is being put on him as he's heading out the door to make this transfer.
And with friends like the president of Uruguay, who needs enemies? Letting these guys go, apparently. Some 2-year time limit rings hollow, does it not? Fred Fleitz, as always, we thank you for your insights and analysis of what is happening with intelligence, with the prisoners at Gitmo, and of course with this Senate report. And America's Forum continues following this on Newsmax TV.